Art is the expression of significance to either an individual or a group of people. It is expressed through oil, acrylics, spray paints, dance, marble, and any medium that the artist feels like using. Galleries, museums, and auctions showcase art forms from all over the world. However, no art carries a strong identity the way that African art does. Africa is a continent that evokes powerful images. The African culture embodies spirituality and nature, components which has held down the African culture's identity throughout time. It has attracted a large number of members from other cultures to come and study so that they can be a part of what Africa produces for them. Let's start with Cameroon, located in Central Africa. The Bamileke peoples have been a native tribe to the grasslands of Cameroon for a long time. They had a strong community and leader. They believed that the chief held supernatural powers so that he could protect the tribe. They hand carved wood into masks and detailed them with beads and shells for the royal ceremonies. The different masks, colors, forms, and figures all were distinct to certain societies of the tribe. Each mask was made to reflect the individual and his position and importance to the tribe. In 1884, Cameroon was colonized by Germany. Cameroon had a forced labor system installed so that it could be a prosperous nexus of trade. By creating wealth for these colonial rulers, they gave back to Africa by commissioning African art. This is the throne of Nijutoya that portrays a royal couple. The piece is carved out of a single piece of wood and is embedded with wood, glass beads, cloth, and cowwire shells, dating to the late 19th century to early 20th century. The beads that decorate the artwork were imported from Venice and Prague just for the creation of this piece. The chair is supported by a leopard, the animal that the Bamileke chief identified with. Although made for wealthy foreigners, the piece holds African history because of the symbolism and mediums that haven't changed for the Bamileke peoples. Fast forward to Cameroon 2 years after their independence. The photography artist Samuel Fosso is born. The decolonization of Africa gave Fosso the room that he needed to grow in his work so that he could incorporate it into his art as well. Samuel Fosso dipped his hand in various projects, all which display various self-representations of Africa. His most interesting work was commissioned by a French department store, Tati. He shoots himself as different African stereotypes for the advertisement. He brings forward African culture with a sense of humor. The liberated African American woman brings beauty by giving the nostalgia of the 1960s and 70s black woman. The Chief That Sold Africa to the Colonists is a satirical photograph towards Africa's history with slaves, tribes, and politicians. Sam Fosso creates a tribute to his African culture by reflecting African history through his art. Richard Mudariki is a contemporary artist born in Zimbabwe during the 80s. He lives and works in South Africa today. He is an artist that uses different mediums. In this coal and pastel drawing titled The Visitor, Mudariki draws some childhood nostalgia. This piece portrays different portions of various folk tales that were passed down through generations onto Mudariki. By capturing this old tale into his artwork, he has immortalized it into something more than just the spoken word. The painting can be seen as another bookmark in African culture and tradition. In this acrylic on canvas painting titled Goat Interview writes, just like other African American artists, Mudariki inks animals into his art because they are significant in life and are a big part of nature. He is stressing that they should be taken care of rather than mistreated. African artists don't need to be based in Africa in order to produce African art. Lynette Yodom Bioki is a Ghanaian artist based in London. She creates portraits-based characters she creates on different various aspirations that she draws from. She builds the paintings to be natural and seem as if they are a part of the room that you view them in. Although all separate pieces, they came out to be very similar. as if the painting's characters all knew each other and all knew the viewers. This relatability and unspecified focus of the art gives a natural comfort and familiarity with the portrait. Overall, she captures scenes that feel nostalgic, although they are fictitious. Going across the ocean into America, we can find African American artist Nick Cave. Nick Cave featured his Made by Whites for Whites collection in New York City. He gains inspiration for his art from found objects and their underlined racism in them. This piece, titled Sacrifice, that resembles a black person but was once used for ring tossing at a carnival. Nick Cave is holding up a mirror to white Americans so that they could see the way that African Americans were once viewed in America. The clenched fist was a symbol among the people, but Nick Cave put it in his art, therefore making it into an official symbol instead of a social symbol used among African Americans, which represented black pride. The use of stools also represented the climb that black people had to go through in order to get civil rights. It is not necessary to be black in order to produce African art. Pieter Hugo takes pieces of life around him and the history of his images to create a powerful photo. He focuses on the African communities and documenting the poverty that they live in. By incorporating animals, he's putting both of Africa's inhabitants, people, and animals living in one community, Africa. Just like the other African artists that we have looked at, Pieter observes and records life that is happening and has happened and immortalizing it into his art pieces. By using symbols and history, African art evokes something that is much more than just aesthetically pleasing to look at. African art is about reminding the audience that reality exists and that we can find beauty in not just a picture frame. African art also incorporates important issues, whether in society or nature, and that we have to reevaluate them.